Hello everyone, this is Venom Geek Media here. And so for those of you who don't know, every single series of Star Trek is now available to watch for free on Netflix. Presuming you have a Netflix account, but who don't these days. This poses quite the conundrum for the person. There are a lot of series, you've got the original series, you've got Next Generation, you've got Voyager, you've got Enterprise, and you've got Deep Space Nine, and most of those, well, with the exception of the original series and Enterprise, are 7 series long. They're very long series. Now, so this poses the issue, which ones do you watch, which ones do you miss, can you skip episodes, that kind of thing, is it all really worth watching? So, in this video, I'm going to be looking at, is it worth watching Deep Space Nine? Should you take the time to watch Star Trek Deep Space Nine? And my answer is, well, it kind of depends. It kind of depends what you expect, and if you've got if you've got anything better to do. If you kind of just want to get the gist of Trek, then I'd just say, then I'd say, nah, give Deep Space Nine a miss. If you just want to get the gist of Trek and then move on to something else and binge watch something else, then yeah, I'd say skip it. But if you've got nothing to do with your time, you could do worse. You could do worse. It's the main thing with Deep Space Nine is that it's hard to pin down. There's a lot of variety. I will just make a disclaimer here. I haven't finished Deep Space Nine. I am part way through the last season, so but I feel like I can give you a fairly good review of the whole thing. It's hard to pin down, but I would say that ultimately with Deep Space Nine, it's more about the characters and their relationships rather than any sort of deep revelations about what it is to be human. It's more about being human, if that makes any sense, rather than what it means to be human. It kind of kind of zooms out a bit, if you like, in that capacity. And like I say, there is a lot of variety. There is a ton of variety in this show. And the first thing you kind of have to get used to is that it's set on a space station. This is a genius concept. It's a genius concept because, every other series of Star Trek, they're zooming about the galaxy in a ship. Things come to them. Whereas in Deep Space Nine, no, things don't come to them. They go to things. They seek out new life and new civilizations. Deep Space Nine sits there and kind of waits for something to come their way. And that gives it a kind of I think very deliberate, slower pace. And you're kind of shown this in the series opening titles. It's a much more measured and slowly paced sequence, and this kind of reflects, I feel, the mood of Deep Space Nine. It's very relaxed. I wouldn't say it's trashy in the way that daytime TV is, but if there was to be a Star Trek channel, Deep Space Nine would be its daytime television. I don't know what they'd have in the morning. Maybe they'd probably have the original series in the morning, and then Deep Space Nine during the day, TNG in the evening, and Enterprise post-Watershed. I don't know where they'd put Voyager. Maybe they'd have Voyager on during the night. Who knows? But it's a much more slower, calm series. And is it dull? Yes and no. The plots are often highly derivative, yes. I would say that's a very fair statement. But what makes the plots so interesting are the characters, and often you get these little side plots that are actually, in the grand scheme of things, quite irrelevant to the actual main thrust of the episode, but they're the best bits. They're sometimes the most interesting. Now, in terms of story, there is an overarching story with the Dominion War. So you could, theoretically, skip the quote-unquote filler episodes and, just go straight to the Dominion War and just see all that. But then I feel like you're being dishonest about the DS9 experience, because in some ways it is about those silly little filler episodes, because that's where the characters shine. And I will talk about characters now, why not? So we've got Chief O'Brien from The Next Generation, which is great. He's a really good character. Dr. Bashir, he's really good. I really like him. And they have a good sort of relationship going between the two. You have Captain Sisko, he's a fairly good Starfleet captain, but he's kind of a bit like Janeway in that he's a bit boring. He just does the right thing, but he likes baseball, and he's quite a bit of a badass. You don't see Captain Picard fist fighting. He's kind of like got Kirk's fighting ability, except he doesn't fight in such a white way. He's much cooler about it. Odo, he is great. He's a really good character. He's a changeling, and he's a very reserved character. I mean, it's hard to kind of describe them, because they, unlike other characters in other series where you can kind of, somewhat define them in a few words, you can't really define these characters because they're so developed. They are heavily developed throughout the series, and the overarching story, like TNG, you could watch episodes out of order, and actually, most of the time, it doesn't matter. With this, no, you have to watch them sequentially to see these relationships develop and change and fluctuate and all that. And it's really good when you get to, the 7th season and you see all these kind of people pairing up. You've got Chief O'Brien and Keiko, of course, and I'm not gonna spoil the others, but there's a really great episode where I am going to spoil it. Sorry, where there's this whole thing where like Molly, I don't know, like I can't be bothered to explain it. Point is, Worf gets left to take care of the O'Brien's youngest child, Kiriyoshi, and it's just really, because it's really funny, because he's trying to prove that he can be a good father, because of course he couldn't with Alexander in The Next Generation. I'm dropping spoilers left, right and centre, but who cares? Star Trek isn't exactly a spoilery series. But so yeah, you've got, like I say, Worf, Dax, she's brilliant, quite nice as well, quite pretty. Kira, she's really cool, really like her. You have a good villain in the form of Gold the Cat. He's really good villain. He is probably... the argument has been made for him being one of the best Trek villains, and I get it, because he's so unpredictable and changeable and just interesting. He's not got that typical motivation that all Star Trek villains tend to have, which is really refreshing. As well as that, you've also got Quark, who's funny. So you kind of have a balance. You have these less serious stories, and you have these little more serious stories, and you have character development throughout, and the development of different relationships. And it's very good and interesting to see that. But you think, yeah, it's not my thing. Like I say, this series is full of variety. There is action. There is some brilliant action. It is, because it's the Dominion War. And yeah, it kind of takes a back seat at times, but when it kicks off, and it's brilliant. There are so many fleet out. There's the awesome, so I'm gonna spoil things left, right and centre again, but you've got fights with you've got battles, space battles with the Klingons, with their new battleship, the Negvar, and their fleets. We actually see the reintroduction of the Burrell, which we haven't actually seen since early TNG. Um, but I digress. You've got the Dominion, you've got the Cardassians. As well as that, there are quite a few Mirror Universe episodes. And they are... they're interesting. They're good and interesting, and I think the cast have a lot of fun doing them because they play very juxtaposing characters, and it's very refreshing. And it moves a bit more. It's much more actiony than the character of the rest of the series, I would say. But yeah, that's very good. And there's some really interesting episodes. I can't remember what it was called. There's an episode where Cisco essentially passes out, and he's back in, and he kind of comes to, and he's in the 1940s, 1930s, sometime like that. And everyone who is on the station hasn't become. We see all the actors who play, the regulars, playing different characters. Very different characters in this 1920s, I don't know when. I want to say 1950s. I'm going to go with 1950s setting. And he is this writer who's trying to publish these set of sci-fi stories, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, about this space station, and he can't because it's got a black captain, and no one's going to buy into that in the 1950s America. That was a really interesting episode, and yeah, Deep Space Nine is just a full of fun series. It would probably be great to binge watch. You can't help but have fun and fall in love with the characters, as they just grow on you and you just spend so much time with them. So, I mean, if you're happy to accept all these things, I'd say, yeah, watch Deep Space Nine. If you're looking for more action in your Trek, then you can get some, but pick and choose your episodes. If you're looking for deeper meaning in your Trek, like Next Generation, again, pick and choose your episodes, but those are going to be even shorter supply, I think. But yeah, I mean that's the main thing, really. So yeah, I would recommend it, definitely. I would definitely recommend watching Deep Space Nine if you have the time, and if you really want to immerse yourself in the Trek experience. If you really want to go full Trek, definitely watch Deep Space Nine. This has been Venom Geek Media. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.